wonderful people. Thank you for watching. I'm just going to dive right into it because I'm going to be honest, this is like the 4th time that I've tried to start recording this, and I'm not trying to record 1,000 of these with not knowing how to edit them, so this is going to I'm just going to go for it this time. This is it. And so I'm going to just start by telling you what this video is going to be about. I want to address my mental illness. And honestly, some people are not going to like it. Just because of the fact, I mean, I'll just say that my family personally, I don't feel like they believe my mental illness or think that it is as serious as it is. Which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is, and they are who they are, and I love them all dearly. But this video is for people that have people like that and are afraid to speak up. Because sometimes you just got to. Because I don't really have any other options anymore. If I don't address this now, it's just going to get worse. I'm almost 25, and I watch a lot of motivational videos and stuff like that, and a lot of times I hear them say like, oh, when I was 25, that was when I really started to change my life, and I listened to this one thing and it changed everything, or I was 22 and everything was falling apart, or you know, even sometimes I hear them say that they were 30 and they had nothing, or you know, I didn't start to change until I was 40, and like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be stuck in this pattern until I'm 30, 40 years old, and then I'm just now starting to address my issues, because that's not healthy. If I know that I have issues now, I should probably go ahead and address some of those issues, and I encourage you to do the same. Your issues are not going to be my issues. Whatever your issues are, I definitely encourage you to seek out whatever help. Do whatever you can do to get yourself out of the box that you put yourself in. I put myself in a box. I don't know if you have or not. And the thing that really gets me, actually, is that there's normal people out there. And I mean, really, who's normal, right? But apparently, there's people out there that handle their problems in a normal manner. They have a thought pattern that is not toxic or damaging or I don't know what the word is. But anyways, so they have a better understanding of how to go about things that are happening to them in their life. I, on the other hand, don't have that luxury. So I'll go back and tell you a little bit about my mental health journey, we'll call it. So I've been in therapy, you know, throughout my whole life. My parents got divorced, separated and then divorced early on, and then I had a stepmom, and so I guess my parents thought that, oh, this could be traumatic, let's get her into therapy. And at the time, I was like, what? Everything's normal, I'm good, what do I need therapy for? Like, I guess I'll go because I'm a kid and I gotta listen. So I went to therapy, I talked to all these people, I never had a problem talking to people. I will tell the guy beside me on the bus, you know, my whole life story if he cares to listen. It's not an issue for me to open up to anybody. And I guess we'll come back to that later when I progress about my mental issues. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I was a kid and I was in therapy, and you know, as far as I remember, I never really was like diagnosed with anything. I was just a kid and I was just like talking out everything. Into my adolescence, looking back, I can see where some of my actions were like triggered by my mental illness, and but everybody just thought I was like a rebellious teenager, you know, attitude problem. You know, the list goes on. I went to see a actual psychiatrist. Well, I saw a psychiatrist once when I was in high school, and I was just diagnosed with ADHD. And I was prescribed Vyvanse so I could focus in school, and I took that, and you know, it was fine and I could focus, but it really affected my eating. I could not eat anything. I've always been pretty moderately skinny. Out of 15, I was a little bit bigger than, you know, I guess I have been in my whole life. But I digress. So then when I was an adult and I had my first apartment with my now husband, I went to see a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with chronic depression and bipolar disorder. And when I got that diagnosis, I was like, what? Bipolar disorder? That's not right. There's no way. So I just didn't really do anything about that. They actually did give me some medication at that point. I don't remember what they were. But they were long-term medicines that I felt like were going to make me into like a zombie, and I didn't want to take those. So I didn't. I took them for a very short time and didn't continue with those or continue with any other follow-up psychiatric visits or anything like that. So I just kind of let that go. And then just went on with my life, living very toxically, honestly. And fast forward, my husband actually, at the time, when he was just my boyfriend, he called those crazy pills. Which is another reason I'm making these videos, is because there's such a stigma attached to mental illness and people having to take medicine and people being crazy. And it sucks because the people that are ill don't want to be that way. People that have bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder and schizophrenia and all of these things, they don't want to be that way. Nobody wants to make up having these things because they're really hard to live with. And then on top of having to live with them, we have to deal with all these people from the outside judging us and telling us like, oh, it's just, you don't have to feel like that. Really? Thank you, Susan. I will take that into account. But anyways, so back to my mental health timeline. I saw a psychiatrist again when I was 21, 22 maybe. It was about 2.5 years ago, maybe a little longer, probably a little longer, almost 3 years. And that is when I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and chronic depression. And I was like, great, another crazy thing. Sorry. My dog's barking. That's freaking me out. Still barking. Can't pause the video or I'll have to start all over again. Maybe I can learn to edit them. It's sirens. He's barking at sirens. Anyways, so I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and chronic depression, and was like, great, another crazy thing. I'm going to be labeled crazy again and blah, blah, blah. So I came home and told my boyfriend, now husband, what they had said, and you know, he looked at me like I was crazy, and so I looked into it a little more to see some details on like what borderline personality disorder was, and what it was like, and the, you know, because she was so sure when she diagnosed me, like, this is it. And so I looked into it, and I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So anyways, they recommended that I go to some like group sessions. They were required of me at the time. We won't say for what, but they were. So I went to them. I went to a couple of them until I didn't have to go anymore. And they were not very helpful, I didn't think, at least at the time. Maybe I'll try again, who knows. And I'm trying to think of the next set of words I should use. At the time, I didn't really want to take hold of the fact that, like, I have a disorder and I need help. I just was like, oh, this is just another thing they're putting on me. You know, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. You know, I laughed at myself a little bit there, probably a little bit too much. But anyways, I really hope I learn how to edit these before I post this one, just because it's a little excessive already. But if not, then you get what you get, and if you watch this far, thank you. You're the best. There's going to be a lot of so's and uhs, and anyways, I didn't want to take borderline personality disorder, and definitely didn't want to take chronic depression, because who wants to be depressed? Like, nobody that has depression wants to be depressed. I promise you. If we could feel better, Linda, we would feel better. If we could, let me just leave it there. It's not easy to just snap out of, which was a really hard thing for, like my mother, to take hold of. And thankfully, over time, she has taken hold of it a little bit more and realized that it's not just something that I can snap out of, and sometimes that I just can't, and it sucks. I don't want to be there any more than anybody wants me there, as far as my loved ones are concerned. Some of you probably want me to be depressed, and I don't like you. But anyway, so now I have taken hold of the fact that I have borderline personality disorder, even though I get tongue-tied saying it sometimes, which is why some people call it BPD. This is the one. I can't make another one. I've already come too far. So I hope that you're sticking with the bloopers, unless I can figure out how to cut them out. So what I have come to understand about this disorder is that, I mean, honestly, it makes me feel crazy. Like, all the time. Almost every day. And it just takes over me to where I am so sad. And then I can't snap out of that for a little while. And I'm really trying to I mean, I'm not going to be cured of this disease as much as some people think that I can be. That's not the way that it works. No matter how much I pray about it, and, you know, I am a God-fearing, praying woman, and it's not that I don't believe that God can't heal me, because I believe that He, you know, can do all things and, you know, perform miracles all the time. But I don't think that it's going to work like that for me. Not that it couldn't, because it could, but there's work that I have to put into it. If He wants to give me a miracle one day, I will be waiting for it, and I will be grateful. However, there's a lot of work that I have to put in to being better, to dealing with it better, to speaking up about it like I am now, because first of all, this isn't a self-diagnosis. I have been medically, psychologically diagnosed with this disorder. And I know that nowadays everybody's got a mental illness, everybody's got anxiety, everybody's got depression. And here's the thing. Everybody does have anxiety, and everybody does have depression, but they don't have it on a chronic, critical level where they have panic attacks, where they can't get out of bed for a couple of days, or just mope through the day and just can't even express to anyone how sad they feel on the inside. Most people can deal with their anxiety and realize, like, oh, this thing is like, I'm really worried about this, or, you know, things of that nature. There are people that cope with these things on a normal level, and people that have mental illnesses don't cope with these things on a normal level. And they may learn to, and they may be able to sometimes, but for the majority, they don't really have much control. I'm trying to learn how to gain more control, and maybe at some point I will make another video about the levels there are, like the symptoms of borderline personality disorder, because a lot of people don't know what it is. A lot of people don't consider it to be real, which is really hurtful to me, honestly. Like, my father, as much as I love him, frequently calls me a snowflake. And, you know, we are, as a nation, pretty offended by a lot of things. And I feel like there's a lot of snowflakes out there. However, I can't help it sometimes. As much as I want to, I promise I want to. But sometimes I cannot. And I guess I'm making these videos not only for myself to let this just out, but for my loved ones to understand that it's not something that I can help. That I wish with all my might to be with the land of dragons. That's off topic. But that was a good show, Dragon Tales. 90s babies remember. Anyways, I really hope that I can edit these videos, because if not, this one's gonna be a rambler. But again, it is what it is. If you watch this, I appreciate it. I didn't really get to talk about the things that I do to cope with it. Honestly, still learning how to cope with this. There was an incident today, this morning, very early, that brought it on pretty strongly, and I couldn't really get out of it for a little bit. And the thing about borderline personality disorder is that my mood fluctuates to highs and lows within a couple of hours. And again, when I talk about it, it seems like this happens to everybody. This is normal. I don't have a disorder. But the more I sit and reflect on it, the more I realize how real it is to me and my life. And it's sad, honestly, because I just don't want it to be. But holy crap, I've been talking for 20 minutes. So hopefully I'll learn how to edit. And I'll just cut it off for here. So if you listened this far through, hopefully this is not a 20-minute video. Hopefully I can cut some of this crap out. But if you listened this far, I appreciate you. Subscribe. Lost my fingernail. It hurt. Subscribe, like, share, whatever. But I'm going to learn how to edit these right now. Thanks guys for watching. Toodaloo.